Hey, everybody, welcome back, and thank you so much for listening to the Dog Trainers Podcast. My name is Mariano Alvarez, here with Brent LaBrada and a very special guest that we'll be announcing in just... Are you raising the roof?
I was raising the roof.
That we'll be announcing in just a second, but first...
Start over. You suck at this.
We have to leave that in there. Raising the roof, come on. That's just...
I was raising the roof.
I saw you. All right, here we go.
You started off so strong.
We should have left that in there. All right, here we go. Yeah. 3, 2.
Thank you for listening to the Dog Trainers Podcast, a podcast created by dog trainers for dog trainers, or anyone who's ever fallen in love with man's best friend.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back, and thank you so much for listening to the Dog Trainers Podcast. Mariano Alvarez here with Brent LaBrada and a very special guest who we'll be announcing in just a second once Brent raises the roof. But first, I do want to let you know that you can find us on all major social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, all by searching Dog Trainers Podcast as all one word. You can also find us on all major podcast platforms, iTunes, SoundCloud, all that other good stuff. Dog Trainers Podcast, it's not all one word, but you can find us there nonetheless. And I do want to give a quick shout out to some cities that have been showing us love. Thank you guys so much out in Columbus, Ohio, Sheridan, Wyoming, Darlington, England, and Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. That's a new one. Hello, everybody.
Oh, cool.
And with that, over to you, man.
What's up, everybody? It's Brent with the Dog Trainers Podcast. As Mariano said, we have another very, very special guest, a local, an Angelino, maybe not actually from Los Angeles, but she is training out here in Los Angeles, Miss Samantha Johnson from @Packlife_LA. If you guys know who she is, well, thank you guys so much for listening to this. And for those of you guys who don't know who she is, you guys can also check her out at www.packlifela.com. She's also with the marleymutts.org, right? That's your rescue. Yeah. Is that correct? Perfect. Yeah. And I just want to go ahead and introduce Miss Samantha Johnson. How you doing, Samantha?
Hi, guys. Good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Good. It's our pleasure to really have you. You know, it's funny because as I was researching dog trainers, I was thinking like, we keep asking all these dog trainers in different states and, you know, different parts of the country. And some of them, we've even interviewed people in different countries. Right. Okay. And I was like, I need to look in my own backyard, right, and see who's out here, because there's so many trainers in LA with so many. Doing so much good work and who has so many great, inspiring stories. So it's so funny. I talked to my staff, and I have a staff of 5 people, and nice. 3 of those 5 people follow you. Right.
Oh, cool.
And so I was just like, guys, I'm looking for a trainer that I should from LA. Do you guys know anyone? And all 3 of them mentioned you in their suggestion. So I was like, I got to check this girl out.
I'm honored. Are they girls or guys?
They're girls. They're girls.
It's always girls. All my followers are girls. But I like it. I'm a girl's girl. So.
I love that. I love that. Well, we'll probably, as we get into your story and everything, we'll kind of understand it sounds like you're very inspiring to half my staff, which is wonderful. So I got to check out some of your stuff. I just fell in love with the work that you were doing. I fell in love with your style of training. I shot it over to Mariano, and I was like, yeah, we want to put this girl on because she's not only is she killing it when it comes to dog training, but you're a mom, which is awesome. You have a beautiful little girl. You got to tell us more about her. You're a wife on top of that, which is great. And you know, your ability to make not only great content, but really compassionate content for you to be able to stay on top of your social media every day. It's just like, this lady's a super mom. Like, how does she do all of this stuff and, you know, do it effectively? So let's go ahead and start this episode kind of the same way we start. Let's start at the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in dog training?
For sure. Well, first of all, thank you. I'm going to replay that little segment anytime I'm having a bad day. If I feel like I'm not doing enough, I'm just going to listen to that little minute. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're so
yeah. So yes, I got very lucky. And the more trainers I meet, the more I realize how lucky I was with my beginning. So I was pre-med in college. That being said, the moment I moved out of a dorm, I got my first dog, Baloo, who I still have to this day, who is my right-hand man. Like he has made me a better trainer, and I'll explain his amazing energy and stuff. But so I got Baloo at 19. Looking back, I was a very good dog mom at 19, like all the stuff I did. But I grew, seeing all the families I work with now, I grew up in a very dog savvy household, like, and not in the sense of like doing tons of sports stuff or anything like that, but just like the structure, the boundaries, the understanding that like, if you have not walked your dog, like, and they do something wrong, that's on you, boo. Like that kind of mentality. Dogs were not on the furniture. Just like I had a golden retriever that my parents got when I was a baby, and we put him to sleep when I was 14 or 15. And he was like a member of our family, but he still wasn't allowed on furniture. Like he still got an hour walk every day, you know, like it was this stuff that is just the basics that most people aren't always understanding.
Yeah, they don't put priority to, yeah.
Right. So I got Blue at 19, but so I definitely love dogs, and I made him a therapy dog, and I volunteered at Children's Hospital for pre-med. So like I was into dog training. I just didn't realize I was into dog training. Okay. So I was pre-med, and then my MCAT score was shit. It was not the best. I'm not going to say I'm not smart. I am, but standardized testing is not my
forte.
Best quality. Yeah. So I was looking into Masters in Public Health program simply to make my MCAT score look better. I got into this program that's like a year. It's a 2-year program in 1 year. If you can complete it and get good grades, you essentially get an automatic interview into their med school. So I took it, moved from Chicago to the Bay Area with no one but my dog Baloo. Didn't know anyone.
Nice.
You know, had never been there before. I'm all about like gut feelings. The moment I heard the school's name, I was like, yep, that's where I meant to go. And I just,
where'd you go?
Just kind of jump off. Toro University, which is like, it's in Vallejo. So most people don't even know it, but it's like an old Marine base. And there's nothing to do in Vallejo. And I'm not trying to be mean to people from Vallejo, but there's nothing to do there.
No, people in Vallejo know there's nothing to do.
I was going to say,
exactly.
but in a way that tends to be good in college towns if they're boring, because then you just get to focus on your schooling.
Totally. And like med schools are often set up in places like this, you know? But it was, 20 minutes from Napa and 40 minutes from San Francisco. So it was all good, but I moved there with just Blue, and my school was a Jewish school. And the reason why I say this is because they have a huge holiday break in the fall. So we started and there was 2 weeks of school, and then I had like a month off with nothing to do.
Oh, wow.
And maybe it was like 2 or 3 weeks, but it felt like a month. And this was back on Instagram when, how many years ago was this? Like 7 or 8 years, where you didn't follow tons of people you didn't know. At that point, it was still like you followed your friends or whatever.
Okay.
But I had been following this girl in San Francisco who had a pit bull and like a dog walking company. And I had gone back to Colorado during this break, and I saw a picture of a pit bull that she posted, and she spent like 5 hours, something like that, very long time trying to untie this pit bull that was left tied to a pole on the side of the road. Looked super unhealthy, and it was super reactive and aggressive to her. So she spent her time, and I saw the picture again, my gut, and I go, that's my dog. Like I just was like, I'm going to foster that dog. Like that's my dog, which no one should ever pick a dog like that. Never a reason. You should never look at a picture and choose a dog. But I just had this gut feeling that she was supposed to be mine. So when I went back to the Bay Area, I met her. I had on my road trip, my mom reminds me of this because my mom drove me out to Bay Area. All I was watching was Cesar Milan. I had become obsessed with him.
Love it.
And learning his stuff. So I thought, I was very dog savvy by just watching his show, And so I went to the shelter, and it was all things like, I grew up in a house where we didn't have to pet every dog we saw.
Right.
We didn't overly affection our dogs. Baloo, my Wheaten Terrier, isn't like a huge cuddle bug. He wants space. I like the way that I raised him was like our affection was going on hikes together. Our affection was like being walking lakeshore
quality
together.
Time. Yeah.
Right. Like, so that is how, so I wasn't someone that needed to like go up and pet a dog, So, and then with Cesar, so that was the kind of stuff I felt savvy about. And I look back and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I went to the shelter to meet her, and she was super reactive. Dogs, people, whatever. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going, I was about to run a marathon. And so I was like, if she's still available at the shelter when I come back, I'll take her to foster her.
Wait, and you run marathons? Hold on. And you run marathons on top of all this?
I'm not that impressive, but I am training for a triathlon right now. That's going to be in August. Yeah, but it's like a half one. It's a 70.3 one. So
70.3 what?
So it's
kilometers?
No, 70.3 miles. So you
damn. She was like, it's not that big a deal. It's 70.3 miles.
That's all I said.
I drive 70.3 miles and my back hurts. I've run.
You just swim a couple. We'll see if I make it, honestly. You swim like 2 miles and then you bike 50 and then you run a half marathon.
You don't sound like the kind of person who's not going to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like if I walk at all, I walk at all. Like
I bet you finish
70
but
miles.
I finish. I feel like that's a good thing to do at age 33. Like
yeah.
Wow. Market.
The most ambitious one I've ever done was a half marathon.
Half marathons are great, honestly. Like there's no need to do full. Like
the most ambitious thing I've done is a class on Peloton, guys. That's
the Krav Maga was no joke.
I do
Peloton's hard.
It is hard. Yeah. I did like a 15-degree incline, it was difficult.
Yeah, Tunde, is that her name? She's hard.
we know.
Sorry to take you off the rails, but you were talking about Cesar, how that kind of tied into your natural life.
Yeah. So, and I was like, if she's still around afterwards, I'll foster her. Well, then I got a call from the shelter. They had I don't even remember how one of the volunteers tracked me down because they were about to put Lily to sleep, the pit I have now, because, and this is like a animal shelter in Berkeley. So it is like a no-kill shelter, but she had been around there for a long time. She attacked the glass and people would walk by, dog reactive. And she had, I'm blanking on the name, but like her eyelashes went into her eyeballs, which can happen.
Entropium.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so she needed to get the surgery. Like she had horrible cataracts. Like she looked really old. Now I realize she was not old. She was young, but she looked really old. And they were like, we're not going to do the surgery unless we have a foster set up for her. And so I said, sure. So they did the surgery, took her in. I was definitely someone who had fallen in love with pit bulls and wanted to love on this pit bull. I was way more affectionate to her than I had been to any other dog looking back. Like she was allowed on furniture. She was so rambunctious. This is so ridiculous because now I'm like, why wasn't she in the crate? But I would like sit down to go to the bathroom or something, and she'd be like attacking my arms and my legs and my body, where I started bringing like hot dogs if I was to sit down so I could like throw it out of the room. So she would leave me alone. Like I had bruise and marks all over because she was just like, she had no boundaries. I don't think she had ever been to home. Who knows? But based on her scars, she looks a little bit like dog fighting, but I try not to get too much in the story about it. But I brought her in, she saw her reflection in the dishwasher and she just like went at it. Whoa. And I realized I had no fucking idea what I was doing. Wow. So that kind of started, and I used the crate, like that kind of started it. And I was just watching Cesar all the time. But there was a moment where I realized, I'm not going to med school. And I had got a treadmill. Somehow I have no idea. Cause now if I can't reach something, I'm like, make my husband do everything for me. Like, I don't know how I did this, but I carried the treadmill up a flight of stairs.
Whoa.
Damn.
Put it all together, and I trained her how to walk on it in a night. And the next day I went to class, and I was like, I could not wait to tell people. Like I was getting med school interviews at this time. Like they were coming in the mail, but I could not wait to tell people how I put Lily on a treadmill. Cause I realized like I couldn't take her on walks. She was so reactive. So I put her on the treadmill for like a good hour before going on the walk. And I was so excited to tell my class that I had trained Lily to walk on the treadmill. And it was in that moment I was like, you're not fucking going to med school. Like, like you're not telling people how you're getting interviews. You're not excited about that. Like you can't wait. So Lily was like the whole reason of like me getting into all this.
I love those stories, how people just tend to kind of fall like ass backwards into something that they really love.
Yeah.
Not fun.
I always make jokes. It's like rappers or drug dealers where they're all like, I didn't choose the game. The game chose me. Totally. Right. And a lot of dog trainers have that story, right? What was Blake Rodriguez saying in the interview? He's like, I had a dog.
He had a dog when he was in college.
No, he said, I had a dog who was good, but right. He always called them like butt dogs. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, I had a dog, but they did this thing or they did that thing, which kind of motivates a lot of people to turn from dog owner to dog trainer. It's crazy.
I think that's another way that Cesar gets some props too.